What up? It's your boy Marco from Upside Down Studios. It is What the Fuck Wednesday. How's everybody doing out there? Lo and behold, we finally got some real news coming up that we can dig into a little bit. A lot of people out there are bitching about RFK. He went from, I think he's a little bit overzealous, but he was Mr. Natural, Mr. Healthy guy. So now he's just some idiot with a worm on his brain because he put out some harsh truths out there that a lot of people want to hear about. And of course, a lot of people want to kind of justify the new age thinking and the whole, of course, there's always going to be somebody who wants to try to, things have changed and we have new this and we have new that. No. The disease has not changed. What you added on to the fucking disease's name is what's changed, and now people are fucking, all butthurt about it. So we're gonna touch on that a little bit, and we are also gonna touch on some fuck shit that the Trump administration has done. I'm still trying to find some kind of reasoning for it, but ultimately it just seems like it got caught up in collateral damage, which tends to happen. It don't make it right, but it tends to happen. About the women's shelters, the battered, the women's who are affected by domestic violence and shit like that, those being defunded, and pretty much being shut down. Had a kind of a debate / argument with someone who actually worked for one of those places that got shut down, and I was trying to find some reasoning in it or somehow, some way to justify it, and there is none. I mean, there's outlying issues. There's things that could have been differently that maybe it wouldn't have came down to this, but ultimately it's a lot of there's not a whole lot of factors, but a big part of it was the Trump administration taking away its funding. So before we dig in any deeper into that, we'll bring in our foreign correspondent from the tundras of the Canadian wilderness, Dino the genetic marvel. Greg, that's you.
Hi, everyone from the deep, dark tundra of the 51st state, Canada. New dude about it. It's
New dude.
I mean, I think this is a great time to make sure people realize that we don't just talk against a certain group of people, but we make sure to address any sort of fuck shit that's happening. It doesn't matter who does it. It's the fact that it's been done, and we should understand and know about it, because knowledge is power, and it's the one thing that the government can't take away from you. Unless you're retarded, then sorry. But
or whatever, when that gets tossed on the spectrum.
Yeah,
I was having a discussion with one of the other hosts from one of the other shows, and he just, this whole spectrum thing to me is more of like saying someone is on the spectrum is like saying he just got a slight bit of the tard.
Okay, spectrum high.
Perfect timing. Well, hold on. Let's be honest, right? So we heard sex is a spectrum. Autism, that's a spectrum. Is knowledge a spectrum? Is height a spectrum? Figure it out.
You know what spectrum? My internet. That's literally, I am running Spectrum internet.
And once again, the spectrum has failed.
And you know what their fucking their slogan is? One wire. infinite possibilities.
Oh, God. You know what? Jesus.
So-
I'm. Yeah. Go ahead.
So, did you watch what RFK was saying and stuff about the autistic folks?
Yeah.
Right. Now, again, I feel like he came at it in like a maybe a 1980s old man perspective, which is very gruff but truthful. But truthful. There was no sugarcoating of things.
Well, who
And
was
I
that guy? Hold on. Who was that guy? The politician who's like, if you hate cops for being cops, next time your house is robbed, call a crackhead. It's harsh, but it's pretty fucking accurate, right?
Yeah. So I mean, and then a lot of people are discounted because he said that that a lot of these kids with autism. Well, no, he just said people with autism, which again, there are levels of autism. Um, not enough levels to I feel be called a spectrum. With the true first definition and the definition that was rounded out of everything. I mean, because when it was first diagnosed, motherfuckers, autism was closer to schizophrenia than social awkwardness.
Okay.
So,
Well, but also too, in an age where there is a ridiculous amount of research coming out to the point where every click, clack, and doohickey that people have is now a full-blown disease with its own acronym. Why is autism a spectrum when clearly there are different functions and different saying any sort of affliction, let's call it, is a spectrum? Yeah, cancer is a spectrum. Why? Because it can affect you in a different place. Fucking use the word. Use fucking English. Use goddamn words so we can understand what you're talking about, right?
well, I'm a firm believer that autism has become the new catch-all.
Yes.
That I mean, and we got sure there are a lot of doctors out there who are doing their jobs. Nobody's saying that every fucking doctor is playing on the all right, fucking this kid he's not paying attention in school, so fuck it, he's autistic. But there are doctors who do that.
Yes.
And a lot of people fish for them doctors just so they can get the medication for these kids so they could do with whatever with them. I mean, we saw it in the 90s going into the 2000s with the ADHD. I use that as the prime example because that's what I remember. When I was growing up, when I was younger, it was ADD. Yep. And all of a sudden, my friends went from regular kids running around doing stupid shit with me to everybody's and on Ritalin. Why? Because mommy wanted, there was something wrong, or one of the teachers said that he was just acting up too much in class. Let's go have him tested.
Yeah.
Which, who knows what these standardized tests, whatever the fuck. If you can't have a kid pay attention, to a book while somebody's standing over him, what the fuck you think this kid's gonna pay attention to when you're, got a test in front of him and you're standing over him? So, I mean,
listen, let's be honest. Okay. Back in the 80s and 90s, the best covert market wasn't just weed, it was Ritalin. It was a great fucking underground market in school. Okay. And you know what?
You could tell up as they got older, it bumped up to Adderall.
Yeah. And you could tell when the guys who had Ritalin, who were usually okay, were a little extra rambunctious, it's because they stole too much of their supply. They sold too much, and now they're like, I'm running low.
Not only that, but there was a lot of these drugs that once you started giving them to the kid, they became addicted. And now when you take that away from them, now, that kid's hormones were fine. That kid's DNA was fine. Maybe he was just a little bit of an asshole, but that kid was fine. Now you put him on years of dope, and then all of a sudden you take the dope away. That kid's not fine no more.
Well, you just created an addict.
Right.
That's what you did. You literally gave them the instructions on how to create an addiction and a reliance, and then pulled the rug out for it. Listen, let's be honest. There is like one of the same things that's happened that we don't really realize is the fact that sugar is now in everything. And every possible food, anything that's been processed has sugar in it. Why does it have sugar? Because sugar's delicious. And your brain goes when you get it. That's it. It's very so the fact that it's been incorporated. Oh, you want to sell more Twinkies? Yeah, just add more sugar. Oh, you want to sell more of this thing? Yeah, just add more sugar. Fine.
See, I don't think it's so much because if you look, sugar isn't in a lot of stuff anymore. I mean, if we had pure sugar in our stuff, then that would be a lot better. I mean, there's still, everything in moderation. The sweetness and the artificials well, I don't understand about the corn syrup, the high fructose corn syrup, because pretty much you're making a sweetener from corn, and now all of a sudden that's bad. No, aspartame is bad. Sucrose is bad. What the fuck? If it has a pink, yellow, or baby blue fucking wrapper, and you're dumping it in your coffee, and it looks like cocaine, not sugar, that's bad. Bad.
Listen, I misspoke. You're absolutely right. It's not sugar, but it's highly processed sweeteners. So one of the new ones is they'll use beetroot, highly processed with chemicals, is now become a sweetener. And you're going, number one, let's be honest, beets taste like dirt. So how you're making them all of a sudden sweet, I don't know what kind of witchcraft, but I'll tell you, it's the same kind of witchcraft that turns chocolate into cocaine. Ta-da!
It is.
Takes a little gasoline, some murderous things, mix it up.
The odd thing is, and actually, no, cocaine is not that. I mean, there's a lot of refining, but there's a kid on YouTube who does different experiments. He actually took a cocoa plant and refined, like he didn't show each and every part because he said, it's illegal to do that. But he took it from the coca plant and went through the chemical process and turned it into the powder that's used to keep you awake. Let's just use it that way.
Keep you on your toes, one of those during those nights of fun.
But what I don't understand, and like I remember when I was in Puerto Rico, if you walk around, a lot of these, they have like little stands on the side of the road and stuff, and they sell like a cup full of drink, almost like a lemonade stand, and basically it's water and sugar. It's sugarcane water. It's not overly sweet.
No.
It's refreshing. And I mean, and them people have been living off that shit for fucking God knows how long.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, we come to America and our sugar is shit.
Yes. Correct.
I mean, it goes back to all these. I mean, if you got it naturally, keep your dick out of it.
I mean, I feel like that's good advice on so many levels. Just
keep your dick out of it.
Yeah, just keep your dick out of it. I feel like that's definitely a skit we could do with Cole, where you're like, I made some soup. I'm gonna put my dick in it. Why are you putting your dick in everything? Like it's just I feel like
because he's a Democrat.
But like that's the weird thing is that everything that's super highly processed is debilitating, right? And in the same sense, listen, I'm not going to stand here and say that there are people whose lives haven't been changed by, I take Adderall or I take Ritalin or whatever it was. And you know what? It helped me focus and like that. What I say is the problem, and which has cascaded into all these other bullshit things, is the people who are like, I got to stay up. I'm going to take Adderall and then I can stay up. And you're going, oh yeah, that's a drug and you're dosing yourself, right? Don't do that. Because then you become reliant on that. Like how many times I remember reading a thing about a guy who was in med school. He was getting ready to graduate. He's like, bro, he goes, we've been doing meth on the job. This is unsustainable. The amount of hours, like I couldn't keep up. So that me and there are other doctors were all doing meth to keep going. And you're going, that's how they created Nazi soldiers. That is a serious fucking problem.
Well, that actually started, the Asians started that shit off. And, the racist Germans, went over and spoke to the fucking, the orange people, and boom, then we had fucking methed up Nazis, and don't forget the Russians were doing that shit too.
So were Americans. Hey, listen, you cannot force an entire army to move forward and listen, let's be honest, slaughter people, okay, for days on end without a little extra gusto.
Well, I will give it to the American soldiers, because if you really look back into history in both the fucking wars there,
Yeah.
The Asians had a big hand on both sides, and the Asians were more dumping off the uppers to the Germans and the Russians,
Yeah.
and the downers to the Americans and the Europeans. Like they were because the opium was coming out at the same time. I've always heard that the opium was real bad in the wars. It took me a while down the road and doing research to find out about the whole meth shit that was going on back then. And because honestly, I thought meth was American. Nope, not even that. And maybe that's the reason why a lot of these fucking people are pissed about the tariffs. You think there's tariffs on meth? You think there's tariffs on the components, because they're still selling them?
On a side note, right? Do you remember how I think it was Portugal legalized the usage of all drugs, and the European Union was like, "Oh, you're going to become a haven for crime," and they're like, "No, we only prosecute traffickers and dealers. We do not prosecute people. People do not get charged for anything." And it's resulted in massive amounts of people actually getting help with their addiction, and like it's actually decreased drug usage and also people in jail. And you're going, so in actuality, the fact is that if you legalize drugs the way they are, even because listen, it's organized crime has started to infiltrate various things. Like we know there's a fentanyl pandemic or epidemic, and these are big issues, right? To the point where I know my guy up here, he's like, hey, my stuff's not the best, but no one's gonna die.
But it's clean, right?
It's clean. It's sometimes it's a little better than it is other times, but in general, it's solid and no one's gonna die. That is the big focus. And you're going, in the time, especially in the last few years, that was a big selling feature. People are like, I want to get some, but I'm afraid I don't know anyone. Right. And if I do find somebody,
dude, I'm not
let's be honest. Yeah. No, but the person you find is usually sketchy as fuck, right?
Right. When I quit fucking doing blow and stuff, it wasn't because I had a problem. It wasn't because I was running out of money or I was doing fuck shit for it. It was not only did the quality go down, but the death rates were going up,
which is terrifying.
And you know what? I didn't like it. I didn't like it that much to be like, hey, let me go find over here. Let me go over, testing now will fucking kill you. So, I mean, it wasn't worth it to me. I have yet, I've heard rumors, but I have yet to find some weed or find anybody that has just died from some fucking weed that had some shit on it. Because you can look at weed. Unless it's like a fucking gummy or dabs or whatever, you can look at weed. If the weed got some dust on it, or if the weed don't look quite like it's supposed to be or smell quite, you can see it,
well, on the other side, you're like, I'm pretty sure this is oregano. I'm still going to smoke it. And you just fake it. It's fine. It's not a big deal. Okay. The 90s weren't a good time for that, but somebody had a great time. It's not me. But yeah, look at that's the whole thing is like, I was talking to my local dispensary, and we were chatting about how I love the joke that I do about, I'm like, bro, there's 3 times I am 100% sure I smoked oregano and I just faked being high because I'm not ruining it for everybody, but this is bullshit. And I'm like, if I find that person, I'll kill them. But I'm like, but now it's like, oh, you know what? I'm going to pick up Starbucks coffee. Also, I'm going to pick up a couple joints, some pre-rolls that'll, put me on my ass. And I can go in there. I'm like, so guys, listen, I'm a giant. I need something that will kind of make me feel like I'm talking to God, but actually just trim my bushes. I need a little matchup. And they're like, hey, we got that. No problem. There's one fat chick that's there, but she's older. So I call her a witch. And she's like, I am a witch. Cause she always gives me good advice. And she's like, do this, then this, then this. Everything will be fine. And I'm like, praise Jesus. Do your cross and it's good. It's, but you're going, listen, people like that were criminalized, and you're going, hey man, that's a real fucking thing. right?
Yeah,
The whole
yeah.
idea of being able to
People
know.
like that.
But that's the thing. And I tried to explain this to somebody where I'm like, science has nothing to do with progress. Science has to do with duplication, cost cutting, and manufacturing. Okay. A trade, a skill set, look, a gardener, a horticulturist, they will understand how plants function and work, and they will figure out new strains. Remember, God didn't give us lemons. We fucking manipulated it until we got lemons like a bunch of retards we are. Okay.
All the way down to the bananas and the strawberries, all that shit.
And that's it. It comes down to the fact that you're going, listen, these are, for so long, we've had stuff that was good. And then science came in and goes, we can fix it. Look, education is a huge component of growth as a human being, right? The more you educate yourself, and listen, and especially, let's be honest, at our ages, if you don't learn something every day, you start to fall behind. And that will snowball, right? Look, Greg, I'm sure for you, there's constantly new shit you have to learn, new techniques, there's new tools, new everything. Every fucking day. And you know what? It's a pain in the ass. But as long as you're learning, you're living. As soon as you stop, it's the same thing like movement. The more you stop, the harder it gets to start up again. And all those kind of things happen. But the fact is that you're having people cascade and they're going, well, I don't have to think about anything. Yes, you do. You have to think about everything. And if you're not, you're falling apart. So these people who are like, you know what? Listen, this kid's a little rambunctious. Instead of explaining to them that, hey, when you do this, it gives the people around you frustration. And also, too, it limits your ability to grow because you're focusing on one thing. So how can we fix this? How can we direct you in a way? Because, like, look, remember Jim Carrey told his story about how he was a fucking problem in class. And the teacher goes, listen, if you're good, the last 5 minutes of the day, you're on stage. You could do whatever you want. 5 minutes. But only if you're good all day. And you know what? Fucking worked. And gave him the career he always dreamed of. So, look, we've taken, instead of education and knowledge and helping people grow, you know what? Just give them a pill.
Yeah.
And we got what we got.
And then back in the day, there was no medicine for autism. You just
it's right here.
Your child's autistic. And again, it wasn't even like when I first watched that when Rain Man came out.
Yeah.
That blew my mind because for the longest time, I mean, I think my little brother might have been 12, 13 years old. He's a little bit younger than I am. And we've dealt, my little brother is severely autistic. He's nonverbal. He knows a little bit of sign language, but
awesome.
Pooh right now is your size, Dino. My little brother is fucking huge. His nickname's Pooh. I mean, you ever been forcibly removed from a living room because you changed Sesame Street?
No, but I have removed people for the same purpose. So.
So every time you talk about, putting your hands and just picking somebody, I've experienced that. I've experienced that. So that's why, I fucking know what it's like. And to have somebody your size go, and then lift you up. And then,
you're like, hey, what are you doing? Hey, I'll be honest with you. Yesterday we were out for lunch with a cousin, and she was in the way. I was like, move, or next time I'm moving you for you. And she was like, what? I'm like, from the armpits up and over. And she was like, I'll be better. I'm like, yeah, you do that. Okay, because that's just gonna happen. You're in my way. I'll Kool-Aid man the fuck out of this wall without hesitation.
Oh
yeah. Just no problem. Yeah.
So, like I was saying, so when I saw the whole Rain Man thing, it kind of gave me, okay, well, there are different levels of this. I'm sure. My brother is on the shit end of the stick, but there are people that are a little bit better. They're more verbal, they're more communicative, but there is a certain level of severity. Now we flash forward, and that was another thing. There was one, and then I looked up the statistics. From my being a child to being a teenager, in that little bit of time with 13, 14 years, the statistics on a person being, diagnosed with autism was one in like every 2,000. Yeah. Now it's 1 in every 150, and even less, that is diagnosed with autism. Now, there's an argument out there that was made by one of our friends as well. We have more awareness now. We have more knowledge now and everything. And I agreed. I get that. So now there's a little bit more diagnosis. But now, if you go a little bit further, especially after 95, then they started, okay, well, this is autistic and that's autistic. And we're going to throw this in there as being autistic. And now I'm not taking away from any of these folks, because I generally feel that a lot of these people do have problems, and it's not fucking autism.
Yes.
You know, you might have an anxiety disorder. You might have a hormonal, imbalance or whatever. But that is not what autism is or was.
Correct.
You know, it is the new definition now, and I'm sure it's going to keep getting greater and greater. Just like when ADD all of a sudden became ADHD.
Right.
You know, and then
high definition. I like it.
So after that, once all that burned out and burned away, then all of a sudden this rise in the fucking the autism thing went up. I mean, and the reason why I even brought this up, because I've lived this, so I mean, I really don't give two fucks about what anybody else says. Yeah. But there's a comedian. I'm not sure if you know who he is. He's he's not a major comedian. He's about where we're at.
Shaky?
But no, he's not shaky.
Oh, there was another guy who's shaky. Who's fucking hilarious, but he's like, I'm terrified right now. That's why I'm shaking. It's an autonomous response to a situation.
Right.
But he is autistic, but he's functionally autistic. You
I
see
know
him
who you're
before?
talking about. Got a beard and shit.
Goatee, black hair.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's shaved on the sides, but he's funny guy.
Fucking hilarious.
Very.
Fucking hilarious.
He leans into it, but
this one ain't that funny. But anyways, he's local to this area around here, and he's posting all this shit about RFK talking shit about autism, and autism is this, and autism. He claims that he's autistic, diagnosed autistic. No, you're a comedian, for one. You talk to people when you go to comedy shows. I know another comedian who's schizophrenic. We know each other, but when he goes to the shows, he'll say hi real quick to everybody, sits by himself. He rocks. When he's on stage, his feet move back and forth, and a lot of people think it's part of his set, but no, that's the way Marty is. He just, he's like that. And we can see that, we can acknowledge that. You motherfucker, you just kind of feel weird when you're around a bunch of people you don't know. That's not fucking autism. Or I got another buddy, his sister. He claims up and down she's autistic. She claims that she's autistic. Why? Because she don't like to leave the house and she's gay. No, you're an introvert that likes pussy. That's it.
No. Hey, there's a word for it. It's called agoraphobia, and you don't like going outside. Okay. Yeah. That's the result of being stuck in your house on purpose.
That is now, and then some people are like, well, that's self-diagnosis. No, there's a doctor out there that are telling these fucking poor people that you got a touch of autism.
Hey.
Again, to me, that feels like, she's just got a touch of the tard. The fuck you mean? One eye is slanted the wrong way a little bit? I mean,
well, this is okay. So I used to joke about this before the pandemic, and then I was told I'm not allowed to do it anymore, which makes me want to do it even more. But my joke was, people say, oh, I got a little of the autism. That's not how diseases work. And I'll tell you why. Because nobody has a little sprinkling of herpes. That's not, you don't have a light dashing of gonorrhea. Okay.
Nope.
It's not,
you don't have a dash of AIDS.
Yeah. You're not like, every once in a while I put sparklers on my cake. It's called AIDS. That's not how it works, friend. It's not. And this is why, like, okay, as an example, right now there's been a massive increase of people with BPD, okay, which is borderline personality disorder.
Yeah.
That, you know what that means?
Call that bipolar. You were a cunt.
No. Hey, it's not even that. You're not even bipolar. Borderline personality disorder. You're almost at having a personality disorder. That's what that means. You know what that means? Nothing. You have nothing. You're just an asshole. Okay. And the best part was, I had a friend who's like, oh, you know what? I was diagnosed with BPD. I go, oh yeah? He goes, yeah. I go, what Jewish doctor? He goes, no, it was a POC doctor. I'm like, you didn't get diagnosed with shit. That's it. Sorry. I'm like, if you want to have a real disease, good. Go to a Jewish doctor. Let me know.
Go to a Jew. He'll tell you.
Yeah, go to a Jew or an Asian. Doesn't even have to be like Japanese or Chinese, or it could be like a Vietnamese Asian. That's fine. No problem. Okay.
Yeah, we got a lot of Indians over here. Dot, not squat.
Yeah. People who are, I'm on the spectrum. Okay. What did you send me?
Is that the dude you were talking about? The one I just sent you?
Let me see here. Yes.
Yeah, that dude's fucking great.
He's
I'm gonna send that to Marco too.
Bro, he's mad jokes. But the best part is, like, this is the thing, and this is like, do you guys know Aaron Belial? I think he is. He's the one who talks with a voice thing because he's all messed up. But he types out his responses, and he was on Kill Tony.
I think I seen him in a roast battle.
Oh yeah, hey, and he murders, bro, murders. So the fact is that, like, the one thing, like, I don't like that RFK was like, these people will never pay taxes. They are, they're never going to be able to own a home. They're never going to be able to work a full-time job. And you're going, okay, so there are some people who definitely like that. Like Rain Man, yeah, that guy can't really have a job. Like, he might be able to have some job, but that's going to take some sort of caretaker type
right and
support, right?
I think with RFK, he threw a blanket on all of it when it's false. Just like you're saying, like my little brother, even though he's severely nonverbal, he's on a bowling league. I mean, there's somebody that got to walk him up to the thing or whatever. But Charlie's a pretty good bowler. I can't fucking bowl, but he can fucking roll that goddamn ball. I mean, plus he's 50 times the size of the fucking bowling ball.
Does he grab the bowling ball without the holes, like just from the outside, and just go?
No. I mean, he does it.
He's out there playing softball.
and there's he also, they have a workshop there that he actually, I mean, it's kind of like a prison workshop. You only get paid a few fucking cents for whatever, but he's still doing something. It makes these people productive. It makes them feel like they're doing something, and taxes get taken out of that too. So,
hey, but let's be honest, and I think all three of us can attest to this, is producing a product, whatever that product is, right? So right now we produce entertainment for people. That kind of being able to actually have a hands-on feeling of I made this is extremely satisfying to humans in general, but also it wards off things like depression, anxiety. All those things kind of slowly fade away because I have a visual representation of what I'm contributing, right? So in that situation where, let's be honest, okay, he ain't fucking Jeff Bezos, right? But he's still doing something, and that is worth applauding, right? So, and that's why it's like, listen, the idea that there are some people, and not some people, in my opinion, the majority of people who are like, I'm autistic, I can't work, are lazy cunts. Let's be honest, right? Now, does that mean they don't have a problem? No, that's not what I'm saying. What it does mean is they're taking advantage of the situation and not taking the time to try and better themselves.
And a lot of it has to do with their so-called support system, whatever. Because just like you said, like I had one of my sons, his mom, pretty much had him diagnosed autistic for the fucking check. It was so sad thing. But in my eyes, I mean, and I'm not putting my son above anybody or below anybody else, but he's a little slow. We all had them, them people. We all knew people who were a little slow. They don't really understand the way everybody else does. Yeah. But this is a fucking massive dude that's twice my size that has been babied and coddled all his life to the point where he thinks he's a frail 100-pound little weakling who can't do anything. Whereas he's 250 fucking pounds, fucking damn near 6 foot. And, yeah, you're a little bit socially awkward. We've all had that in our lives.
Sure.
But, you know, boy, I mean, get your, like, an example of what I'm saying is, I met him at the flea market one time. This was a few years back. And he said his TV died at his mom's house or whatever. He needed to get a new TV. Well, there was a flat screen TV. I think it was maybe a 40-inch TV at the flea market. It was cheap. He was just using it for video games or whatever. Here, boy, I bought it for him. You got to carry it. Now, it wasn't one of those big with the fucking bulb on the back TVs. It wasn't, it's not like these real ultra thin ones now, but
okay.
It wasn't, I would say maybe at the most 20 pounds, maybe.
Okay. So a fairly recent TV.
Right. Yeah. This boy halfway down an aisle started crying because it was so heavy he couldn't carry it. Boy, you could carry me and your fucking brother and sister on your goddamn. You the fucking mother.
Hey, that you know what that is?
That was his mother. That's his mother.
That's a bitch made boy.
Right.
Hey, I knew guys like that where hey, I grabbed my belt, took it off, and right in the what are you doing? Move! Hey, all of a sudden they finished and it was loaded in the car. Well, why'd you treat me like that? Because you're a bitch. That's why. What's wrong with you? You're crying because you have to carry something? Bro, listen, yesterday we went out, or 2 days ago, we went out with all the visitors because they wanted to do shopping. I'm like, yeah, let's go shopping. Me, like a jackass, I did biceps and what did I do? Biceps and chest that day. Okay. And my workout isn't a lot of exercises. It's one exercise until failure. One exercise until failure. And I'll tell you, that's the one that burns for days. Mm-hmm. And I'm getting good results with it. I'm very happy with it. The problem is, I'm like, usually I'll get 3 hours of significant pain. And then I'm like, as long as I'm gentle with myself, I'm okay for the rest of the day. And I, being the good husband, I'm like, oh, load me up, ladies. So everything they bought went in my arms. Yeah. 45 minutes later of me holding only about 15 pounds worth of clothing.
I hate all of you.
I was on fire. Hey, not a word, not a bitch, not a complaint. All I said was, I'm getting in a second workout. Why? Because I'm badass. Okay? Why? Because this is too heavy. I'm 6'2" and 270 pounds. If it's too heavy, I could kill it. That's it. Oh, it's too big? I'll kill it and cut it in half. Now it's 2 pieces. I got this.
And the bad thing is, and again, I'm not down on my son because I'm a firm believer that was his upbringing. I didn't get to meet him until he was 19, damn near.
That's a lot of time that like shit's set in stone. You gotta.
And I compare him because he's autistic. I compare him to my brother Pooh, who is just a little bit, he's same size, but just a little bit taller.
Yeah.
And Pooh, even though he can't communicate, he does kind of understand.
Yeah.
Did I cut out?
A little bit.
Am I still here?
Still a little bit.
We still hear
something,
you.
But
yeah,
you're good.
All right. So, even though he has no concept, we've taught him, to help out around the house. He knows how to make his own food without being bitched at. He doesn't fuck with the stove or nothing. But if we have him, look, we got to unload the fucking the car for groceries. He's got 6 bags in this hand, 6 bags in this hand. He may be grunting, but he brings the motherfuckers in. No pissing or moaning. Now, this is the same. To me, my little brother is worse off than my son.
Yeah.
So shut the fuck up and carry your fucking TV. The fuck? Him and his mom and I got into it for we always get into it. I can't stand that cunt. But like, well, he's this and he's that. He's a grown fucking man. Quit treating my kid like he's fucking disabled.
Yeah.
I got one of those too in a wheelchair, and best believe he'll fucking carry his TV if he needs to.
See, and this is that whole thing. Like, it's that idea where you're going, listen, it's important, I think, for personal development that somebody feels unconditional love, especially in the beginning as a child, is very important. Okay. But especially around, like, just before puberty happens, that's got to stop. And now you got to realize, like, as a man, I'm sure it's different for women, but who cares about them? That's fine. They're not important. Right. So it's the idea, though, that as a man, you need to learn how to be a contributor. Okay. I can't contribute everything, but I'm always contributing what I can, even sometimes what I can't, but I do my best. I'm always right there. Like, look, my wife comes home from doing something. I'm at the door. I'm like, do you need help with your bags? Why? She's out there doing stuff. And you know what? The worst thing is, and I had to explain this to her the other day. I'm like, I come home from doing shit, and you come at me with, oh, this is, hey, give me 5 minutes. Let me decompress. And then you have all my time and all my attention. Okay. Why? I go, oh, I'll show you.
Yeah,
She comes
that's so big that women don't understand the
Hey.
whole decompression.
She came home and I hit her full 100%. Why are you being like this? Oh, you don't like it when you don't have time to decompress? No. Huh. Interesting. So you would like what? 5 minutes to cool down? And she looked at me and goes, I hate when you do this. And I'm like, what?
You're welcome. And just walked away.
I go, hey, all I'm asking for, like, we got into this a while ago. The same thing was, I would come home at 3:00 in the morning after all the shows I could possibly do for the night. I take my shoes off as I'm walking into the house. I slide the door closed and lock it very quietly. I even walk wide step down the stairs so it doesn't make any creaking sounds because I'm a fat fuck. Okay. And I slide into bed. I don't turn on the fan on in the toilet. I make sure that if I shit, I immediately flush so there's no smell. Okay. Go to bed. First, it's 3:00 in the morning. I'm exhausted. Okay. 7:00 in the morning, she's up banging things. I'm like, what is your fucking problem? And she's like, what? I don't understand. I was trying. I'm like, listen, asshole. Okay. How would you feel if I came in, kicked in the fucking door and started just rummaging through everything and making noise? I go every night, right? To be mindful. If I have to shower at nighttime, I don't play music or anything so nobody else wakes up. I don't go out for a smoke after 10 p.m. because, don't want the alarm to go off and wake everybody up. No problem. You can't give me the same grace? Oh, I didn't think about that way. I'm like, no. You just didn't think. You didn't consider other people. You didn't think about anyone else, just yourself. But she wouldn't know that otherwise, right? You have to take the time to look. Your brother, you say, hey, we need help with the groceries. He'll come. Why? But if you never ask him to come help, he's not going to help. Why would he? Right? I've taken a firm stand on this in my household. Victoria will be frustrated with something, and I'll just sit there. Aren't you going to help me? Oh, did you need help? I'm happy to help. Did you ask for help? No. So why should I help? If you need help, all you have to do is ask. I've never denied you help. What's the problem? Right? It's a harsh truth, but the fact is the basis of communication. If you're not communicating, like, look, he can't carry a 20-pound TV. Why? What makes you think you can't? It's that whole idea of an elephant. As a baby, you tie it to a small post. As it grows up, not realizing its strength, all you need is a rope and it'll stay. Why? Because it's been brainwashed into thinking it can't escape. And
the level of quit that is instilled in these people on the spectrum is fucking crazy. Because again, now my son, he will help anybody. He will do. He's a good kid. He tries to help out and do whatever if you ask him. Yeah. He's a real big history buff and shit like that. But as soon as something is just a titty bit too hard or a titty bit challenging, nope, I can't do it. And I've noticed that in a lot of these so-called autistic people,
Yes.
that, it's just the level of quit that has been instilled in you.
Yeah.
You know that it's not too hard. It may be a little bit more challenging for you for whatever is really wrong with you, and that's where your support system is supposed to come in. Not, here's a pill, go sit your ass on the sofa, somebody else will do it for you.
I explained this to somebody the other day. I'm like, I learned it from my readings on stoicism and everything. Was the whole idea where it's like, if you stop what you're doing because it's too hard, you should know that all the suffering up until that point has been for nothing.
Yes,
It's
it was
been for nothing. You go, that's why, like, look, it may not be perfect, but you finish the job only for one reason alone, because you started. It's that simple. And people don't realize, well, it's too hard, I can't quit. I remember a girl in school. This girl, she was a big back, right? But she wasn't like the biggest back I've ever seen. But she had the biggest head I've ever seen on a human being. Like, just a massive, she wasn't even Asian. She was a white chick. Big head, massive head. Okay. And we had to do a presentation because we were in business class.
No,
And she's reading it off because she's like, I'm really shy, everyone, so just bear with me. And I'm like, okay, go for it. She's reading. I don't know how to say that word. And then she continues.
You at least try to sound it out, or
well,
they're like, hey, what is this?
If you read it in advance, right? Then you could have said, oh, I need to sound that out. I can figure it out. But no, you didn't put in the work, and now you look like a fucking big-headed retard.
Now, wait a minute. Because there are some words that I can't pronounce.
Sure.
And I know what it is, but I can't pronounce it. So, yeah, I'll skip over shit like that. I've done it a million times before.
But that's the difference, is that it's not a something where you're going, I don't know how to pronounce that word. You're not giving a fucking presentation involving that word that you fucking wrote, though, right?
Oh, well, yeah.
Right.
If I wrote it, that's different.
Listen, even I
remember wrote this word in there. I don't know what it means.
If I wrote it, that word is definitely not going to be in there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is the thing. There are a lot of words in the English language, especially, that are way too complex that can be simplified in a couple of words. Instead of using one word, you use three, and the same information is communicated. And the fact is, how many times have you been typing on a text, and then you go, autocorrect's not fixing this word. All right, I'm gonna just fix it too. Like, oh, my wife's going to the pharmacist. Oh no, I can't spell pharmacist. She went to the doctor. She'll be back soon.
Right.
No, that's fine. You don't need to fucking know. It's fine.
You don't know how many times I've typed in Wednesday to fucking Google.
Wedding. No, Wednesday. Yeah.
Wet. Fuck it, Google.
Hey, this is it's one of those there, bro. The word for ear, lung, or ear, throat, and nose doctor is a Greek word, okay? And it's a shortened version of those three words. I still can't fucking say it right, bro, and I speak Greek, okay? I just go the nose, throat, and ear doctor. The
sinus guy. The sinus guy.
He takes care of the other shit, not your mouth, your eyes, or your brain. The other shit in your head. Oh, okay, yeah. But that's why is that you're absolutely right. It's not only an epidemic of pill pushing and shortcuts, but it's an epidemic of, in my opinion, character. Right? People aren't pushing themselves. Sorry.
I just looked up that word you were talking about, and I'm not even no.
Yeah, I know, right? It's hold on. It's or yeah. Hold on. Ear, nose, and throat doctor.
Hold on, I got you. I'm gonna bring it right up on the screen in the comments.
It's a God damn it. You see, yeah, otolaryngologist.
Yeah,
it's a fucking it's a nightmare.
That's not
Oh,
right.
Joe, shut the fuck up, you over here. Oh, yeah, I know that. Get the fuck out of here. You don't know shit. Cocksucker.
You know what we called that when I was growing up? The ear, nose, and throat doctor. That's
And they go,
exactly.
oh, you know, the one with the long name. They're like, oh, yeah. It starts with an O, right? Maybe a Q. I don't know. It was far away. My eyes are closed.
Psychologist for your ear.
Right.
Yeah. But it's like, but that's the thing is, if you, I don't remember the doctor, but you know, he does ear, nose, and throat. Oh, okay, yeah. So it's the fact that people don't have the fortitude or character to actually try and push through, right? Like, look, how many people growing up did you know that ran their own business? For me, my entire neighborhood, everyone did. Nobody, either they were big up in a union, so they were like, oh, I'm an electrician, but I have a union job for like 40 years. You're like, okay, yeah, you got money, right? Or, but other guys like, oh no, I am an electrician. I have my own company. I'm a taxi driver. I have 3 taxis. I'm a tow truck driver. I have 4 tow trucks.
See,
Like,
when I grew up, there was businesses, but they weren't your traditional businesses.
hey,
People
still
made their
counts.
money,
Still
but
counts.
you know,
It's that ability. Whereas, oh, I do my own thing, and I make it work. Listen, when you run your own business, whatever business that is, you now have to be an accountant. You have to be a secretary. You have to be the presenter. You have to be the salesman. You have to be the cleaner. You have to be the janitor. Like, bro, you got to be everything. The piece of fuck everything, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's the thing is they aren't willing to push through. They aren't willing to. Oh, I need a job. Okay, good. You can have a Mick job. Oh, I don't want that job. Okay, but then you need an education. Well, I don't want to work. All right, well then you're not going to work.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah, that sounds like somebody that we know that, was at one point in time broke as fuck, couldn't pay the fucking bills in the goddamn house, but refused to take a job because I'm worth more than that. I feel like, no, your fucking lights are about to get shut off. Your daughter looks like an Ethiopian and she lives in Cleveland. Come on. Go to fucking work. You know what you're worth? You're worth dick if you're not fucking bringing in an income.
I mean,
And after fucking years and years and years, he finally took the shitty job, which now is paying for his new house, well, his house that he bought, and is paying for the car and his kid to go to fucking school. But probably it was all his idea. So,
hey, that's but that's that. It's that weird position where, look, bro, I was fat for 40 years, 41 years, right? Until I figured it out myself. Same thing, right? I've had people go, "Oh, you're fat as fuck." I'm like, "Yeah, I also got a big dick. You want to see it?" And they're like, "No, I don't." I'm like, well, "Okay, well, stop looking, weirdo. It's on you."
Leave me to
you
fuck
said it was fat. I thought you was talking about the penis.
I mean,
all right. So,
yeah.
Speaking of or lack thereof, I got into like I said, I was I wouldn't call it a debate or an argument. I kind of wanted it to become an argument or debate because me and this person has had issues on other posts before. But
spicy.
a comedian decided that she wanted to post, and it was for once somebody who actually wanted to know the mindset or the thinking of people. She said, and don't quote me on it. I'm saying that now. Yeah, paraphrasing.
Mm-hmm.
She was basically like, I'm just trying to understand my Republican friends and my friends that voted for Trump. With this, and she listed like 4 or 5 things. With this happening, how do you feel about this? What is your mindset? Because I know a lot of you have the same values that I do, but I'm opposed to this, and this, and I just don't understand how you guys would not be opposed to it or whatever. So, it was stuff about the pardons for the J6 and the tariffs, some of the defunding and closing of stuff. Vitriol was the last one, and there was something else. And now before I even got to put anything, you know, there's always them assholes under it. Oh, no, they're too scared to say that they voted for Trump, or they're too scared to say anything. And none of them, you know, a few months ago, all we heard about were eggs, and now everybody's all quiet now that everything's shit in the bed. And the stock things. So of course, you know, I waited to see if anybody would speak up, and a lot of people are cowards. So I broke it down for her. I was like, it's real easy. One, the January 6th tour that you're talking about, the handful of idiots and the rest of the tour. You know, there was what, 6 to 8 hours worth of video that we weren't allowed to see. You know why? Because it was showing cops letting people in. It was showing people being walked around shit and all that stuff. And, you know, nobody remembers, you know, we want to talk about the pardons, the blanket pardons. What about the preemptive pardons from the last administration, or everybody turning to the blind eye to cities being burned down over the summer of love? So I don't really want to hear anything about these pardons. As
I
far
believe
as
those are called peaceful protests or peaceful protests. Yeah.
as far as the tariffs are concerned, I mean, I still don't understand why the rest of the world could suck us, you know, suck the fucking money out of us dry, but we can't get our fair share back.
Right.
You know, if you're hitting us on 20 and we were hitting you for 5 and now we're hitting you for 15, you're still to the good 5, motherfucker. I don't understand why, you know, us getting what we are due for our tax money, at least, you know, is so fucking bad.
Yes.
So, and that took care of the tariff discussion. What else was there? The vitriol. Yeah, you know what? They drugged that man through the fucking judicial mud for over 4 years.
Yes.
I mean, even when he was in office last time, they were dragging him through the mud. He was called everything from a phobic to a racist to a Nazi to a, you know, every fucking thing that you can name of. You know, they called that man. They had fucking, you know, they had celebrities with their fucking heads of fucking Trump bloody and the knives. What was that Kathy Griffin cunt? You know, Madonna talking about she wanted to kill the president and all this. So, of course, I would be a little vitriolic myself. So the ones that didn't vote for him are the ones running their private pleasers. The ones that did vote for him understand the process where take a while to you fuck the situation we're.
I believe it was unfuck the situation. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Great point, James Lamb. Great point.
So I mean, I'd be vitriolic too. I'd be pretty fucking, you know, yeah, fuck you guys. We're doing it our way. The fucking country has spoken. They voted us to fuck in. Fuck you and fuck anybody who's fucking standing in the way. I would be vitriolic also.
Also, I just want to point out that James Lamb's profile icon is Megatron.
Yes.
Which it turns out we all realize that he's not the bad guy. It's a
Not
lot.
at all.
Megatron wasn't the bad guy. And you know what? That's just Autobot propaganda. Sorry.
That's it.
But no, so this is the thing.
Quintessa was the one running shit.
Dirty bitch. But this is the thing, is that what we realized when, and look, remember they brought out those boards and go, okay, this is the tariff we're now implementing. This is the tariff that we are suffering from. Because that's what a tariff is. It's a punishment. Okay. And it showed that US tariffs were less than every single person. Exactly. And it motivated, I believe the number is that 50 countries have already come to the table and be like, 0-0. How about that? And he goes, deal. Now, China is the only one who's going, no, I don't want to do that. Okay. But China
is getting hit. They don't want to say it. They're getting hit.
China's been manipulating their numbers on their currency forever. China's been manipulating their birth numbers to the point where they are not, it's been exposed that they don't have the children to take over the industries that they've stolen from everywhere else. Because let's be honest, right? Look, this is not a joke. Manufacturing in China is unhinged, okay? It is ridiculous. And it's been stolen from everywhere else, okay? They funded it through the government, to make sure that they could produce more than anyone else, faster than anyone else, and for a while it was even higher quality than everyone else. But now that they're losing, now that they're losing the quality workers, okay, and they're not having replacement workers come in, that in actuality it's coming down to the fact that we can get a better price, better work, and let's be honest, south of the US, they're popping out babies like it's going out of style. Okay. So they have new people who are working and people who are taking over this industry. Because remember, a new, young, fresh set of eyes create innovation, growth, and new industry. When you don't have a new, younger set of eyes with a new way of perceiving things, you get stagnant. And stagnancy creates, James, I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you. So, but that's so like realistically, yeah. Is it shit? Absolutely. But it's going to take some time.
Another thing that was also brought up was how do you feel about him taking the stock market and then bringing it back so all his buddies can make money? First of all, this whole stock market thing. I love when especially the libtards start bringing up the fucking stock market and how he crashed the stock market. Because a week before that whole stock market crashed, which was for a day, you guys were bitching about big corporate this, big corporate that, big pharma, big this, big that. All the people who lost money that you're whining about, they lost fucking money. So are you against the corporations taking care? Because, there wasn't no little mom and pop places that fucking got hit hard. There was no little, the ones that were already in fuckville from the pandemic. When, the last administration pretty much gave all the money to the bigger corporations to stay open while all the rest of the little guys had to fucking shut down. I mean, nobody fucking even remotely thinks about that. But again, stock market went down for a day. Now, we want to talk about, Trump's buddies or whatever. That's unsubstantiated. I'm sure there are some of Trump's buddies that fucking made out. Just like when Nancy Pelosi does her fucking insider trading, or AOC, or all these other fucking poor people who are now million/billionaires in office.
Yes.
So you want that shit to stop? Then fucking stop the insider, or then stop letting fucking Congress or anybody in the government have stocks. Now it's over. You got nobody to blame, and nobody can, be like, oh, well, no, Pelosi. No. Okay, if she don't have any stocks at all, then she won't be thrown under the bus like that. That's simple.
How dare you attack such an honest and thoughtful politician like Nancy Pelosi, sir?
Yeah, fuck.
She is here, or is representing the people in the best way she can.
Yeah.
Dude, when I saw Laura Loomer brought like 4 or 5 illegals to her estate, and say, because she was all over the fucking news talking about, the illegals could stay. Yeah, we need these people. This and that. They camped out on her front fucking yard. She had fucking police come there like that. Like, she didn't even show up outside. Not even nobody opened a fucking door. Cops just came in and they were all, all over Laura. Laura was like, I'll leave, but they're staying. Nancy Pelosi said they're allowed to stay here. No, they have to leave if they need, there's migrant, this and that. No, Nancy said that they could stay here.
That's right. Hey, it's the same thing. Look, after all is said and done, what I love the most out of the stock market argument is, out of the last 5 presidents of the United States of America, the only one who has went into office and come out poorer, only one,
Donald
Trump. So your argument is invalid. It's that simple. And anyone who says, well, I want the president to make money. No, you definitely don't. That's called corruption. And you don't want that, because I'll tell you, if you want that, you can move to any other country and you'll see how that was. Not even Russia. Listen, Russia is openly corrupt, but that's because it's faux sale. That's fine, right? But the difference is that Russia is corrupt to everyone. as long as you can pay,
Yeah,
you get the deal done.
blanket.
Hey, all of Europe, as long as you can pay, there's no buddy. No. If you can pay, you get it. Okay. The difference is in the United States of America and Canada, no, you got to be part of our group. And then you still have to pay. But now you're allowed to
You
pay.
get your Super Saver card.
That's it. That's it.
So the last thing that was brought up in this whole argument, the funding thing, I assume that they were talking about like the USAID and all that shit, and she wasn't. What I didn't know, and I found out, and she was absolutely right about it. There, you broke up.
I totally agree with what James said there.
Oh, 100. Term limits, bro. It is a public service. That this is the same thing that we're just. Sorry, before I don't mean to cut you off, Marco, but I just want to admit it is that whole idea where right now our problem is we have our options are a piece of shit or a piece of shit that's never had a job, and you're going, the piece of shit who's never had a real job is less of a piece of shit than the other piece of shit, but he's never had a job. And I'm like, he's saying all the right things, but you're like,
yeah, that was ain't that Polly Pocket or whatever his name is?
Yeah. It is Polly Pocket because he had a French name. But so it's the idea where you're going, one I know is going to screw us over. The other one is talking a good game, but has never had a real job. Tough one. Yeah. Term limits, 100%. Absolutely. And in actuality, remember, politicians were created that they didn't get a salary. They only got a per diem. They had to be in the chair doing the job. Otherwise, you get nothing. That is what you should go back to.
Yeah. And I also
lobbyists all fucking hung from the trees.
I think Congress and the Senate should be like Parliament. They should be able to fight.
Oh yeah.
Oh fuck! Have you ever watched Parliament? Like, especially like the Sand people Parliament, like the Hindus and shit.
It's Malaysian Parliament. Hey, it's like gang violence, bro. It is wild.
Yeah, I feel like we have a lot less of people like that Jasmine Crockett and people, like Raskin and Swalwell. I can imagine just somebody just coming rocking Swalwell shit. That fucking cock just what? Shut the fuck up, you lying little or fucking Schiff. I would love to see Marjorie Taylor Greene put a stomping on Adam Schiff.
Hey, can you imagine Chuck Schumer getting punched in the face? Or what's the other one? The one that looks like a frog.
Nadler.
No. He's older. McConnell.
McConnell, the one that looks like the turtle.
Yeah. Can you imagine him getting popped in the fucking nose? Just pop. Just a quick little jab.
McConnell go out like one of the fainting goats. Somebody just come up to him and spook him. Them eyes will light up.
James comment: lifetime politicians are bad, but blue collar people put blue collar people in there. I honestly believe that political jobs, while they should be for 4 years, if you get a paycheck, you know what it should be? Like court duty. In other words, hey, it's random. You're the new representative for your area. 4 years.
You gotta watch though, because a lot of the blue collar people fucking let that shit go to their head, and they turn right into the same politicians. Perfect example is AOC.
Out of office, and we get in new ones.
Yeah, that's
Perfect example is AOC. AOC was a blue collar girl from fucking New York. She was a barmaid. She, obviously she was the brightest crayon in the box. But that ain't very saying much from the area she was at. She had nobody running against her.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden she's a millionaire.
$29 million. Hey.
Yeah. So she fell right into the corruption, and she's just another one of these talking heads now.
You know what though? She took that course that who gives it? It's Nancy Pelosi on how to invest, and now she's a mastermind of the stock exchange. Fine. Yeah. Anyways, let's get back on topic.
Yeah. So the last thing, like I said, I was assuming that she was talking about the defunding of the USAID shit and all that bullshit for the trans bullshit over in Siberia or wherever the fuck it was, and you know no, I think it was the cats. They were doing something to cats and dogs over in Europe, and we were just all this fuck shit that needed to go away.
Yeah.
Well, she wasn't. What she was talking about, and this, I guess it was collateral damage. I hate to say that this was intentionally done, but all pretty much domestic violence shelters and women's shelters and programs have all been defunded. And the buildings have been, you know, the businesses, buildings, whatever, have been shut down. The grants have been taken by the wayside too. And predominantly, I have to admit that it was because of this administration. I mean, it wasn't the total reason why this happened. There's a couple other factors that bled into this, but pretty much, you know, Trump and Doge were the hammer and nail in the coffin. So when I looked into it, pretty much she was absolutely right, which I think is some fuck shit. I mean, of all the shit to cut or of all the collateral damage, I mean, this was kind of a big thing here. Because, you know, regardless of y'all women who want to be the single women and who want to be independent and don't need no man or nothing, still nobody should be socking y'all in the fucking mouth, even though some of y'all deserve it. As a man, I feel like, you know, should do it. Now, there's men should have the same privileges though, because I know a lot of men that they're just the way they were brought up or whatever, they get abused by females. There are a lot of abusive females out there, and there should be services for that, which there were far and few for that. Now, one of the big excuses that I found in the reasoning for this was getting rid of the woke shit and DEI shit in the different agencies and stuff like that. Which the only way I could even see that going is if they were letting like trans people into the women's shelters. Which no, it's a fucking dude in a dress. He got his ass whooped. I'm sorry. Fucking go to the gym. I get my ass whooped. I have to fucking deal with it. You get your ass whooped. You got to deal with it. I'll put myself out there. If I get my ass whooped in a Pokemon outfit, guess what? That don't mean a Pokemon got stomped. That don't mean the Pokemon's rights got a fucking whatever. That means there was somebody who bested me. That was just it. You know, especially if it's another fucking dude. And if it's a fucking woman and this wasn't your woman and that wasn't, then shut up. Take the dress off, put some pants on, and go fucking work out.
Yes.
I mean, you know, that's the only way I could even see or fathom that this would carry under the whole woke shit, is if they were trying to push that. And if that's the case, you know, if it was something that stupid, you could keep your organization open as long as you don't let dudes in dresses in there and you refuse to comply. You're an asshole. You know, you just fucked a lot of women out of fucking shit that they needed. But I don't see that happening in this case.
Well, let's be honest. I think it's fair to say that there's always more information to every side of a story, right? Because remember, there's one side, there's the other side, and then there's the actual truth. At the same time, we have a record amount of female homeowners in the United States of America. We have number one amount, it's 97 female billionaires in the United States of America. Number two is China with 42 female billionaires. So maybe
we're almost doubled in that.
We're almost double. So maybe I'm just throwing this out there. Maybe it's important for women to show up for women and provide the support they need because they're independent and they should be self-reliant. And I think that's good for them. But at the same time, I think that women's shelters are very important in society. And I think it's important for people to feel safe, especially when going through something like that.
Okay, so and I'm glad you brought that up because that brings into something. I'm gonna go over the contributing factors of how this came about. And again, it doesn't mean it's right but it wasn't just Trump and Doge. Again, Trump and Doge was the hammer and nail in the coffin. They didn't build the coffin. They didn't lay the fucking body in the coffin. They just closed the lid. So,
On that note,
says,
hold on. I gotta go. Someone's arrived at my house, and I have to vacate the premises. Well, no, I don't have to vacate these premises to somewhere else. So I gotta go. My apologies to everybody, but we're gonna be back tomorrow. Is it okay?
Yep.
All right. Thank you guys.
Thanks for being
Sorry
here.
about that. No, my pleasure. Yeah, I talk too much. It's my own fault. I did. All right. Talk to you guys later.
Yep.
Later.
So, back to what I was saying. So the contributing factors. So first, I'm bringing this up on Perplexity. If anybody wants to check out or fact check me, it has all the sources where they got the information and all that. It says the reasons for defunding women's domestic violence shelters. The first one is federal funding cuts and freezes. In early 2025, the Trump administration implemented the freeze. We all know about that. And federal funding freeze and cut directly impacted the domestic violence shelters and nonprofits across the U.S. So there are also quite a few other nonprofits. That could be another contributing factor, that it got looped in with all these other fuck programs. And that's what generally tends to happen, especially when bills are being passed. You have a real good bill, and then somebody wants to throw this little stupid shit in there. And now we can't pass this real good bill because it's stupid shit that we don't want to. But if we don't pass it, then everybody's like, oh, well, you won't take care of the kids or you won't take care of this or that. But then when they do pass it, you got this fuck shit going on and you can't remove it without removing whatever the fuck good shit is there.
Right.
And that's one of the biggest issues. And that's what this administration is trying to get away from. But again, I'm sorry to say it, but it's the fucking Democrats who are constantly opposed to this. So instead of, just putting a bill out there to get your streets fixed, the bill got to get your streets fixed, but also we got to let gays in the bathroom. So, or trans or whatever the fuck in the bathroom. Well, if you say no because it has nothing to do with each other, oh, well, you don't want your streets fixed. Motherfucker.
Right.
So, and that's where I'm thinking maybe, and this is not, this is just my theory on, maybe it got looped in there because I'm still trying to figure out why this would even happen aside from being collateral damage, which is kind of a generic excuse. But now that was, like I said, the nail in the hammer. So here's the rest of it. The Department of Justice Office on Violence Against Women removed all open funding opportunities from its website in 2025, instructing the applicants not to take any more grant applications or whatever. Many of the shelters, especially in rural areas, lost significant portions of their budget, some up to 27% due to these federal funding shortages. Now, right there, it tells you the federal funding was we'll say 30%. We'll round it to 30 of all these programs. So it wasn't the full 100%, which everybody is blaming this administration for. So now here are some of the other reasons. Depletion of crime victim funds. The Crime Victims Fund, a major source of federal support for shelters. This has nothing to do with any of the other funding. Has been nearly depleted. Congress set a much lower funding cap in 2024 before Trump was even fucking sworn in. Last administration dropped the fucking amount of money that was going to these shelters. The last administration.
Right.
Resulting in hundreds of millions less for victim services. Now, we go to the next contributing factor. The funds reserves have dwindled because it relies on fines from federal criminal cases, which have decreased due to changes in the Department of Justice's policies. Now, they don't say when, but I could almost guarantee this went to not fucking prosecuting any of these fucking criminals, not fucking doing a goddamn thing, bailless fucking release, especially up in places like California and New York, where you're allowed to fucking just steal whatever the fuck, or if you do get caught doing something, Lord forbid a cop's allowed to do his fucking job. But if you do, arrest somebody, they go in, they sign a paper, they're fucking out. Now, the consequence of that nobody thought, hell, I didn't even think of it, is the money from the fines that comes in goes to shit like this. And if there's no fucking fines, then there's no money to go into the shit. And then you can see a lot of the corruption in a lot of governments, especially local governments, because just like the cops ticketing you and stuff like that, that money, they have to make a certain quota of tickets, whether they want to pull you over or not, to sustain their budget. And that's where we get a lot of corruption or everything, because it's that, okay, go pull over as many people as you can for whatever fuck shit, and if there's nobody to pull over, then you make up a reason. That's why there's a lot of these laws, like the seatbelt law, which is not a bad law, but if a cop, has the discretion, if he sees you with a seatbelt on or not, to pull you over. It's like a secondary fucking, infraction.
Right.
But they can't just pull you over for no seatbelt. Well, at least back then you couldn't. Now sometimes they have this zero tolerance bullshit, and we saw you without a seatbelt or whatever. But I remember being on the freeway, and this was years ago. But I had a small crack in my windshield. The cop pulled me over for the crack in the windshield, and then saw I didn't have a seatbelt on, so I got a seatbelt ticket instead of the fucking windshield ticket. So, that's how that shit rolls. But anyways, if there's no money coming in, then there's another big chunk of that money that was taken away. This is talking about, this is where I was saying that they said something about the woke programs. The Trump administration's funding freeze was part of a broader effort to cut what is labeled woke federal programs, which included many gender-based violence and women's support initiatives. Now, the reason why I called out the trans community on this is because if it was just women, then it wouldn't say gender-based violence. So, again, I feel like they're being looped in with this whole the rainbow community bullshit, and that's how they got the big fuckaroo on this. Now let's see. Chronic now here's the rest of where the rest of the money used to come from and where it's not coming from anymore. Chronic underfunding from other sources. Private philanthropy and charitable giving to women's and girls organizations have historically been limited. And that's what Dino was saying. Women, you guys, you wanted your independence, you wanted your equality, you want your rights, this and that. Why aren't you helping out your other women, your fellow women? Right. I haven't heard of no Million Woman March. We had Million Man marches. We have, men's gatherings all over. I mean, they might be small, but, we try to be there for each other. So, I mean, just like Dino said, we have damn near the most billionaire women in the world, damn near. Why aren't you guys looking out? Why ain't anybody looking to the women to help out women? I mean, I'm not saying that the men shouldn't be doing their part, but fuck. I mean, this is saying historically, so this wasn't just recent. Meaning there is little alternative funding to replace the lost federal dollars. Shelters have been forced to reduce services, lay off staff, and even close, leaving survivors with few options. The cuts are considered catastrophic. So, I mean, again, it all gets pointed to this administration, which again, it falls on them. You're the last one on the fucking ladder. You're gonna take the shit. Understandable. I don't believe that there should have been any kind of collateral damage here. I think this should be cleared up sometime soon. Take the woke shit out of it. No men in the women's shelters. It's that fucking easy. I don't give a fuck if you got a dress on or not. No men in the fucking battered women's shelter. Just like the fucking prisons. No men in the female prisons. I don't give a fuck if you got a dress on. I don't give a fuck if you put the Kool-Aid on your... They've been doing that shit for years. You were just a prison bitch. This whole... That's what you get for letting this fucking trans bullshit get to the level that it's gotten to. And this has nothing to do with the gays or the lesbians or anything like that. Because in my eyes, gays, lesbians, same shit. So this has nothing to do with the gays. Not at all. We lived, gays, they've been here forever. There's been cross-dressers forever, and we called them cross-dressers. They weren't trans fucking women. They were dudes that like dressing up like women. Fine. You live your life that way. It's kind of a weirdo to us, but no, that's none of my business.
Right.
You don't belong in a women's shelter. And if this is one of the contributing factors, or if this is the factor, because I don't know, then fucking stop. There are women that need help. Real women. There are real fucking teenagers. There's real females that do need help, that have went through hell. Not taken away from the men, but just as far as the women go, they need these fucking services, and you're gonna fuck it up for a dude in a dress? I don't get it. I don't fucking get it. So yeah, this administration did pull some fuck shit by throwing that last nail in there. But you got to understand, the last administration was the one that cut most of the money. A big chunk of the fucking money. 30% of the fucking money. Then you don't have any fucking buddy getting prosecuted anymore. So that funds is being fucked. And you got no fucking buddy. No, these charities are... You notice there's a charity for illegals. There's a charity for the rainbow community. There's a charity for animals. There's a charity for kids. There's damn near a charity for fucking every goddamn thing everybody's contributing to, except women's domestic violence. Why is that?
Don't know.
It ain't the grab them by the pussy crowd, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I would have to agree with that too.
I mean, if anything, the misogynist Trump supporters aren't beating on women. They're just fucking a lot of them. Which, I mean, that's neither here nor there. It's a stupid joke. But ultimately, I think this needs to be taken care of. I think something needs to be reworked. And shit like this needs to be re-implemented. And if it takes, like I said, I don't know, but if it's the whole gender issue, that was the one that provoked the fucking hammer and nail, get rid of it. Just like a lot of these schools, we promote this and we're going to cultural diverse, so we're not going to take. When it boiled down to it, even Youngstown, all that shit is getting taken out of the schools once they learned they was losing their funding. So just like we're always taught, follow the rules or there's a consequence. You know your consequence. You know the rules. If you choose to go against them rules purposely and you really got no validation for it, the fuck you gonna do? Suck it the fuck up. This was 30%. What happened to the other fucking 60, 70 fucking percent? So go ahead.
No, I don't know. You got me.
So, ladies out there, on behalf of whatever Republican friends or whatever that you think that is cool with this shit, know that we're not. We are not cool with this shit. Again, there are a lot of sketchy factors that have contributed to this down the line, and I really believe that it sucks that this became part of the collateral damage because just as a man, I would tell you there's a lot of us that are fucking assholes, and there's a lot of us that are pieces of shit, and a lot of us, ain't man enough to put their hands up to a man, but will put their hands on a woman, and that's just bullshit. Now,
Yep.
I will say I am totally against putting my hands on a woman. I'm not saying that I never did because I had a baby's mama that was 3 times my size and I had to fight her like a dude. She was fucking me up. That girl was fucking me up. Fucking fists like bricks.
Mm-hmm.
And as I got older and as I became more of a man, I realized that instead of having to fight for your life against another gender, erase yourself from that fucking problem. Take yourself out of that situation. Walk the fuck away. But keep your eye on the bitch, because she will hit you when your back is turned. Just saying, man. So with that being said, we ran a little bit long, but I wanted to make sure I got that in there because again, like I told the person that I was having this discussion with, I this is some fuck shit. And no matter who's the president or what side I lean more towards, I'm here for the truth. And if something is some fuck shit is done or pulled or whatever, then I'm gonna call it. I mean, I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't. Everything I've said is alleged. Look it up yourself. Do your own homework. But yeah, I mean, the easiest way that I found, and I'm not endorsing. I mean, if Perplexity is hearing me and want me to endorse them, I will more than fucking willingly do it. But I use the Perplexity AI app, and it's great for doing research. It gives you your sources. It breaks it all down. There's been a lot of stuff that I thought or that it has proved me wrong and gave me the reading material and sources to show where I was wrong in my mind state and thinking. It has done wonders for the show, and it has done wonders for my research. I've I've told a few other buddies of mine about it, and they fucking love it. So if you're doing any kind of research or want to look up anything, and I mean it's pretty much an answer machine. It's not just a character AI where it gives its own opinions or the opinions of whoever programmed it. It's more of a meta crawler. It goes across the internet and it gives what the internet has to offer, not whatever has to offer. And that's where I was reading from today. It also gives you backups and stuff like that. Here I ain't done this because I just noticed this comes up on related articles or topics. What alternatives are being considered to support domestic violence survivors without federal funding? Let's see. Alternatives being considered to support domestic violence survivors without federal funding: community-based and nonprofit solutions. Local nonprofits are seeking private philanthropy and donations. Organizations expanding culturally specific and multilingual services such as support groups, legal advocates, and alternative. So basically, they're saying pretty much there's a few workarounds. They're saying a lot of it has to do with local government and shit to try to supply local philanthropy. But ultimately, our funding should go back to this. You know, fuck all this funding of all this other, all the fucking money that these idiot Democrat senators have spent just to go to shake hands with the criminal in El Salvador could fund, you know, these programs for a fucking year. The millions of dollars, you know, just to send 5 senators or whatever over there, all expenses paid, jets, their entourage, their secret service, their fucking all that shit. And then, you know, we got our shelters being shut down. So a lot of it is our government prioritizing the wrong shit too. But that being said, sorry, ladies, from, you know, all the Republicans out there, at least that I speak for. You know, this wasn't one of the things that we wanted to happen. Again, it's collateral damage, and I hope it gets straightened out. And, you know, some of us still love you girls. That being said, thanks for coming out tonight, joining us. And tomorrow we got, what is tomorrow? Mental health. So tune in at 8:30, 9 o'clock. Me, Cole, Dino, maybe Greg for mental health.
See what happens.
And y'all have a good night and be good to each other.
Good night, y'all.
So what the fuck? What the fuck? Yeah, so what the fuck?